Spooky story time. A follower named Roy sent me this story and we're going to call it My Friend Javier. This is going to be a two-part series, so stay tuned. Roy says that when he was about 13 years old, he was all into graffiti, just like everyone else around that time. One of his friends ends up asking him, hey, do you have any extra spray cans that I could use? And he says, yeah, actually you can come pick them up from my house. Explains where he lives. His friend was a little confused, and there was a boy there named Javier who was listening, and he was like, hey, actually I know where you live, and he kind of better explains it to the other friend. One day, Javier shows up at Roy's house, and he's like, hey, I kind of remembered where you lived, and I just thought I'd drop by. Do you want to hang out? Roy was like, what the heck? It was kind of weird, but he was like, I mean, you're already here, I guess. They end up hanging out, and they end up hanging out quite often. And Roy starts to notice that Javier is now coming over almost every single day. One day, Javier shows up at Roy's house with his mom, and she is bawling. She's crying, and she's explaining to them that they are about to lose their house, and is asking if Javier can live with Roy for a little bit until she gets back on her feet. Again, Roy is like, okay, this is weird, but he felt bad. So he talked to his grandparents, and his grandparents were like, I mean, we can't let this little boy be in the street, so I guess. And as we all know, this is where things start to take a dark turn. Roy says that his sisters had already moved out, so he was kind of excited about having a friend there to just conversate with and hang out with. And the very first night, Javier slept in Roy's room. Roy slept on the bed and Javier slept on the floor. Roy says that his room was pitch black. He's asleep, and all of a sudden he wakes up and there is a bright light kind of like on his bedroom door. And as he's looking at it and kind of like waking up from his sleep, he sees an old man's face. And this man is looking him dead in the eyes with like this dread and like a heavy feeling. Roy jumps out of bed, freaking out. As Javier's waking up, the face is slowly like going away. And Roy's like, look at what I just saw. And Javier's like, you're tripping, like you're dreaming, like calm down. As time passes, weird things kind of start to happen a lot more often. Javier needed to use the restroom, and he tells Roy, hey, I really need to use the restroom. I saw someone walk into the restroom. Can you just knock on the door because like I've been holding it? And Roy's like, yeah. So he goes to the restroom, peeks in there. There's no one in there. So Roy tells Javier, hey, it's empty. Like you can use the restroom. Javier's like, period. As he's walking to the restroom, the door slams shut, and they're like, because Roy had just checked and there's no one in the restroom. Then Javier kind of starts to change. His personality starts to change. Roy says that he had gotten into this little argument with someone, and they decided to handle it after school, kids being kids. And he tells Javier, hey, can you just like watch me from afar and make sure that his friends don't show up, because just to be safe. And Javier is like, yeah. So as Roy is waiting, that other guy, sure enough, comes up with 5 other guys, turns around and sees Javier looking at him, and Javier leaves. That day, Roy ends up getting jumped. Roy gets home, and Javier's at home just chilling, like nothing ever happened. Like a few weeks pass, and they're still not talking. Roy's still very upset at Javier. And one day, Roy's grandma tells him, hey, I really need to talk to you. She goes on to tell him that she had fallen asleep on the couch that night and that something very weird had happened. She wakes up and she was being touched inappropriately. She opens her eyes, she looks up, and it's Javier. Only his eyes are like black, pitch black. He runs, she chases him, but when she gets to the room, the door is closed. She didn't hear it open, she didn't hear it closed. She opens the door and both Javier and Roy are asleep. Something tells me that something's wrong with Javier. Something's going on. Go to part 2.
Growing up in Appalachia, we have no shortage of ghost stories. So here's one that happened to me and my mother back when I was about 11 years old. So growing up in this house that I spent about 7 years of my childhood in, we had an experience where a man had actually hung himself before we moved in. So we had reoccurring things that happened, such as our dog stopping in the exact spot where he hung himself, and their hair would stand up and they would growl looking up, like they'd be looking at where his body would have been as it was hanging. And their hair would just stand up, and they would do this about once a week, once every other week, and it would last for 5 or 6 minutes. That's just the background of this house. And that's enough to just pretty much end the story right there. But we talk about mimic behaviors and stuff on here, and how things tend to try to mimic things that they might think your loved ones would do to get your attention. Because if you know about like supernatural entities, when you show them attention, they gain power and gain a hold on you. So if you're ignoring the things they're doing, they might want to try to trick you into showing them that attention. So my brother at the time, he's 9 years younger than me, so he'd have only been a couple years old at this time. And he used to hold his blanket and he would suck his thumb, and he would do this like huff and puff noise. It's hard to describe, but it would just be like a when he would suck his thumb. And there was a morning where he had already gone to daycare. I think he was at daycare, and my mom had came back, and I was like sick that day. I was staying at home. So it was just me and my mom in the house, and she was in bed still. Anyhow, she was laying there, and she was kind of in that state where you're like kind of awake, kind of not. And she feels a very distinct tapping on her shoulder, and she was laying, with her back towards the room, and she was facing the wall. She heard felt this distinct tapping, and she just kind of like got wide-eyed because she knew that she didn't hear anybody open her bedroom door. She knew that she didn't hear anybody walk over to the bed. Her bed was also kind of tall, so she knew that he wouldn't be able to reach her easily, and I would have had to climb on the bed to actually reach her where she was at. So she's like kind of eerie because she knows somebody just tapped her on the shoulder, and she laid there. She said a few seconds went by, and she feels it again, but this time it's a little bit harder. It was like a long, solid press, on her shoulder. And she just said at this point, she's wide awake, and she's just freaked out. She does not want to roll over. And right in her ear, she just hears... And just like the little huff and puff my brother normally would do when he would suck his thumb. And so she rolls over like in a snap. Like she just snaps over as fast as she can. And obviously there's nothing in this room. I'm getting cold chills talking about this. And this was like the same day, but that afternoon. After my mom came in and she'd asked me, she was like, "Hey, was that you? Did you come in there and then run out of the room?" And, she knows this can't be true. It can't happen, but she's wanting to reiterate. And that afternoon, they had actually left me. I was a latchkey kid. A lot of the kids in the 90s were latchkey kids, and I was no different. And so they'd gone to work. Dad had gone to work. Mom was, I think she was going to college at this time, actually, finishing up her teaching degree. So I was home alone. And somebody's coming down the hallway. I can literally hear the footsteps coming down the hallway of my house. And I'm in my bedroom door, and I used to always keep my bedroom door locked when I was home alone, just in case somebody broke in or whatever. And I'm like hearing somebody's footsteps coming down the hall, and I know they're coming down this hallway. And then like the doorknob jiggles. To this day, it's like I blacked out. Like it was like an hour later, and then I was just like sitting on my couch. I had a couch in my bedroom. And I was just sitting on the couch, and I was like, "What? What?" Like I remembered it, like it just happened a second ago. But when I looked at the clock, it was an hour past. That's an hour that I have lost entirely of my life. No idea why. And as I'm telling this story, my dogs are going nuts. It's a full moon tonight, and there's like some crashing in the woods back there. So we're signing out.
Hey y'all, so I can't sleep. It's 2 in the morning where I am. It's 2:30 actually. But since I can't sleep, let's do story time. So you can go get a snack if you want to. But if you are, make it healthy, okay? I was just eating some grapes, so make it something like fruits or something. So this is actually a story that my grandmother told me like a really long time ago, and I just remembered it for some reason. So her auntie had told her about this story when she was younger. So basically, there was this girl whose cousin had passed away. Now, before the cousin passed away, the cousin kept saying that he felt something on his chest as if someone is sitting on him. He just kept complaining about that for a few days, and then he just like passed away. Anyways, fast forward. It's the day of the cousin's funeral. Now, this girl, let's call her Maria. So the cousin that passed away is Maria's cousin. Anyway, Maria is at the funeral. And some Christians believe that you're not supposed to laugh at a funeral. Obviously, if it's like memories about the person being spoken about, you could laugh. But not like in a rude, disrespectful way, which is exactly what Maria did. Her and her cousin weren't really close, but she was like that bratty child that really just wanted to do whatever they wanted. And so she laughed for her first time at the funeral. And then one of the elders warned her and was like, "Hey, please don't be rude. Like, you're not supposed to be laughing. We're at a funeral." She's like, oh my gosh, you elders and your superstitions, now I can't laugh. I can't laugh because somebody died. And so she like mocks it and starts laughing even louder to try and prove a point. Long story short, they ended up having to escort her out because she was being like completely disrespectful. And all of the elders were just kind of looking at her like, all right, we saying that for your own good, but whatever. Anyways, that night, everybody went home, The repast happened, the family got together, and then everybody separated. The next morning, they go to get Maria to go eat breakfast, except Maria is not in her room. Now, they watched her go to her room the night before to go to sleep, but she's not in her room anymore. And so everybody started looking all over for her. Y'all, they end up finding her on the roof, standing barefoot on the edge of the roof. And she was just standing there. She wasn't jumping. She wasn't saying anything. She was just standing there, staring into space. They believe that she was standing on their roof all night at that exact same spot, because even after they got her off, like, you could see the marks on her feet, because houses in Haiti are made of bricks. So they managed to, get her off the roof, get her off of the ledge. And long story short, Maria, I believe she's still alive now, but at the time my grandma told me the story, she was still alive. She just never spoke again, like never spoke. She eats, she bathes, she does certain things. She just does not speak. But everybody kind of knew why that happened, because she laughed at the funeral. Now, if you haven't gotten my ebook yet, I don't know what to tell you. I have 2 different stories posted with receipts of people sending me their testimonies about my ebook. Sounds basic, right? Protect yourself from bad things until it's you. Until you find yourself in a cycle you can't get out of. But hey, don't take it from me, take it from them.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
It went to both.
Yeah.
This next story was sent in by Esme, and this is her experience. This was about 12 years ago. I used to live in an apartment, and it was just my parents and my older sister at the time. At the time, my sister and I shared a room together. That evening, my parents were going to the market and to run some errands. We decided we would stay as our parents would be back soon. I have always been scared of the dark. I don't know why exactly. Well, that evening, I told my sister I was going to shower. She said she would be outside hanging out with friends. I told her to leave the lights on. I don't know if she heard me or not. Anyways, after I finished showering, I noticed I did not bring my towel, so I was calling her to bring me one. She did. Well, after that, I told her to get me my bathrobe that I had left in our parents' room. She did not want to, and I begged her, as I'm scared of the dark and my mom's room was at the end of the hallway. We both went together, and as soon as I opened my mom's room, I can see my robe on the corner of my parents' bed. I told her to get it, and she told me, "Oh my God, just get it. Why are you scared?" Well, as soon as I reached it, I heard a deep man's voice say, "Hey." I automatically panicked, and my first instinct was to get out of there ASAP. My sister was running in front of me. As I passed through the hallway, running to get out, I felt as if someone touched my leg. My sister got out of the apartment first and closed the door behind her. I was shaking and crying. I couldn't even breathe at the moment. I could feel my whole body just shaking desperately. When our parents got home, I explained what happened. My dad said, "There's nothing. Maybe you just thought you heard something." My parents went to the room and turned the lights on. They opened up the closet and there was nothing. That night was a long night. I could not go to sleep. Ever since this happened, I have always been scared to be in the dark, and this event is very fresh to me up until today. I do believe in witchcraft and all that stuff, so this year I went ahead and had a reading done. I asked about this specific event and was told that it was a spirit, not a bad spirit, and then someone else told me that I have a sixth sense, but that I'm afraid to use it. I have thought about this a lot, but I'm scared, and honestly, in a way, I knew I had a sixth sense. I would get this smell, kind of when you go to a viewing when they're in their casket, and it just smells like, I can only describe it as like rotten flowers. Well, I would get this smell out of nowhere. I could be in the car or out eating, it was just random, and I would automatically say, "Someone dead is here." I don't know, it was just natural for me to say that. It's just at random times. Like, it's not every day week. The last time I could smell it was probably a year ago, but most recently I've been feeling it around me, and this is random as well. It feels almost as if someone is right next to me, like when someone whispers to your ear, and the only thing I do when I feel that presence there is just pray until I feel like I'm more light, if that makes sense.
Let's read some more glitch in the Matrix stories. I'm a little sick, so if my voice sounds weird, I'm so sorry. But anyway, let's get into these stories. I remember being pretty young, like 9 or 10, and I was at the car park of a pub in England, Southend. I remember seeing someone in their teens in the window of a house looking over the car park. They waved at me and I felt like I knew them somehow. My parents asked who I was waving at, and I just said some lady in the window over there. Didn't think much of it. Fast forward 10 years, I was at my nan's new house. I remember walking into her room, which I never was allowed to do, going to the window. I then realized I was in the house looking over that same parking lot and remembering that interaction years before. Then, a girl around 9 or 10 who was in said car park waved at me and I waved back. I felt like I knew her. Could not explain it and never told anyone about it. It freaked me out. Okay, so they definitely saw, like, their future self. That's creepy, but it's also, like, kind of cool. About a year ago, me and my cousin visited Los Angeles. We were driving around and using Google Maps, and after missing our third or fourth exit, we swear we both heard it sigh loudly before it rerouted us. We freaked out and made sure our driving was on point the rest of the ride. The rest of the trip there, if we missed any of our exits or turns, we always apologized to Google, so hopefully she would know we were just morons and not assholes. I don't know what I would do if my, Siri or whatever got attitude with me. I used to have a reoccurring dream as a teenager every night for months. I was sitting at a table on the patio of a restaurant. I was out there alone waiting for my food. A homeless man comes up to the other side of the patio and asks for change. I'm digging in my wallet for a couple of dollars, and then I hear tires screech and look up to see a crash in an intersection near the restaurant. I run out there to see if I can help, and as I run out to the road, I get hit by a car and wake up at the impact. After a while, the dream stopped, and I put it out of my mind. Fast forward to me being 28 and sitting at an on the border on the patio waiting for my food. A homeless guy comes walking past the restaurant but doesn't stop and ask for change. It makes me think about that dream though, and I start to feel uneasy. Shortly after, I hear the tires screech, and I see a wreck happen in the intersection near the restaurant. I begin to run out there but stop at the sidewalk and look out towards incoming traffic, and there's an SUV not slowing down. She was on her phone and blew through the intersection completely unaware of what had just happened. Ran out and checked on the people. Everyone was fine. Okay, that is like some Final Destination shit. I was on vacation in Florida visiting a friend. We were walking on the beach on a perfectly sunny day when everything went black for a second. I thought it was weird, but explained it away thinking that my eyes were just playing tricks on me. Until my friend looked at me and said, "Did everything just go black for a second?" That's creepy. About 2 years ago, I went to collect my husband from the ferry after work. My husband got into the car, and as I was driving very slowly out of the car park, we both noticed two people standing a few meters in front of our car. It looked as though they were strangers, older-looking professionals, both walking to their separate cars in different areas of the car park. The man was reaching into his side bag, and the lady was further ahead of the man, with her head turned to the right. I know the exact positions they were in because they were completely frozen on the spot. My husband and I sat there watching the frozen strangers, not saying anything to each other, and then all of a sudden, it was like someone pressed play and the two strangers just continued on like nothing had happened. My husband and I promised to each other that we would never forget how weird the experience was. I can't remember exactly how long they stayed frozen like that, but it was long enough to freak us both out. Okay, this one is so interesting, and one of the comments says, "You were entering a new area. The world had to buffer." That's crazy. Let us know in the comments if you've ever experienced a glitch in the Matrix.
Hi you guys, a lot of people were asking me for more story time, so I will deliver. And I'm already touching my hair, and like, you have to live with it if you're gonna watch me talk, because I don't know, I'm like really antsy, y'all. I can't help it unless you want me to go relapse. So jeez. Anyways, so yeah, I have a story time that's like niche, a little bit different, and honestly, if you're not spiritual, like woo woo, you might be like, this girl is like bullshitting. And that's okay. Like, I don't know. I tell things how I remember it. So honestly, who knows? Who knows? Maybe I have OCD. I doubt myself. Maybe I am crazy. But so I had an experience with this guy in high school, and this guy was he was super tall. He was this tall blonde guy, and he had this very peaceful demeanor about him. Like, when I was around this man, in his presence, I felt just very calm and at ease. So you could describe it as almost like a nice energy. And this guy in high school, this guy had he did have a really big crush on me, but I was so emotionally unavailable over like one dude that wanted nothing to do with me in high school. So and by high school, I'm talking about sophomore year. This is like my sophomore year era. I would always catch this guy, like, my school was 2 stories, and there was like glass railing. It was like a newly built school, and I would always catch him like across the building from me, kind of like, and he was a little kind of hunched over, tall, lengthy, just like staring at me from across, like, yeah, you get it. So this guy was kind of bad. He would do a lot of bad stuff, if you know what I'm saying. And yeah, he drew a lot of art. And I actually loved his art because it was edgy, I was edgy, and he was drawing me all the time. At least, I thought he was just drawing like a girl, just a girl in general, but the girl looks just like me, and she was wearing clothes that I always wore. And let me show you the Valentine's Day card that he drew me. So here is the Valentine's Day card that he drew me. By the way, I realized this the other day. I was like, does that say R.I.P. Heaven on a gravestone? But yeah, that was a little hangout we had. Anyways, I thought it was super cute in high school, but... Okay, sorry guys, I'm coming back so you can see that more clearly. I think it literally says R.I.P. blank and heaven. I don't know, why were these men just thinking about hurting me? Anyways, so he drew me that Valentine's Day card, and I loved it. And this wasn't even the first time he drew me art. He was always drawing me art, and I was always keeping it or putting it on my wall, because I had a wall where I just kept a bunch of, like, keepsake edgy things. Anyways, yeah, he keeps drawing me art, and one day I go home and I go to sleep after school, and I have this really intense dream, super intense dream. Basically, I'm in a forest, and I'm lost. I'm freaking out, and I see these lights in the distance, and I automatically, when I see the lights in the distance, I get this like very calm presence. And they're like these Christmas lights hanging. It's a house decorated with Christmas lights. As I get closer, I'm saying, okay, these are Christmas lights. So in my dream, I'm in a pine tree forest, and it's winter time, I guess. So I arrived at the house. It's bright green. The door might have been purple. Might have. There was some sort of purple in the dream. There's a chain link fence surrounding the house. The backyard fence is basically a chain link, and there's a Rottweiler behind the chain link fence, and is barking, freaking out. As I approach the door, some, like, almost like an energy whips that door open. It, like, slams open, and I go running because there is just this, like, black figure in the door, and it starts chasing me through the forest, and I wake up, and I'm obviously like, oh my god, that was a really intense dream, like, Jesus. So the dream stuck with me, like, throughout that day. Like, I could not stop it, and it felt like I lived it. It felt like this was a lifetime. It almost felt like there was another universe that I was existing in, and I almost, like, tuned into that universe. And now, obviously, you guys, who knows? I could be, like, I genuinely could be crazy, but when I tell you my boyfriend has seen this picture, okay? He's seen a photo of this. I don't know where this is anymore. I don't know if I had a physical copy. I don't know if this was a phone copy. I don't know. But when I go to school that day, and I'm gonna call him like James, I don't know. When I go to school that day, I see James, and he has a drawing for me. You know, he drew me some more art. And when I get that art and I look at it, there's a greenhouse. Like, instantly I'm like, am I being fucked with? There's a greenhouse. There are Christmas lights. There is a pine tree forest. There is a chain link fence. There is a Rottweiler. There is a spirit. There's a demon in the doorway. There's a demon in the doorway. Now, I also had another strange dream experience that I guess I'll slip in here because if we're on the topic of crazy dreams. I had this girl that I was friends with, and I met her through like a guy that I had a thing with. His best friend was dating her, and she was so cool. I remember, and I think she follows me. I think you follow me, bae. And obsessed. I was obsessed with her. I thought she was the coolest. And so when I almost like gained consciousness in one of my dreams one night, I basically instantly realized who I was. Okay, I am her. No, I'm literally gonna text her and ask her just to like see if she remembers this. So I wake up in the dream because I told her about it. I wake up in the dream, right? And automatically in the dream, I look down and I see like I'm wearing like those like Timbs, those brown shoes that were like boots, which I'm instantly like, I am her. Like, I am not myself. And I'm not myself in this dream. I wake up in almost somebody else's body, her body. And I'm walking through the grocery store and I'm with her friend. I don't know, I'm just gonna call the friend like Maisie or something. I'm with the friend Maisie and I think I'm pushing her in a cart. So I'm pushing her in a cart, and as I'm going through Ralph's, the people around us are just acting so robotic, so creepy. They're literally like lifting boxes, like they're like packing stuff, they're lifting boxes like this, like robotic, okay? So lifting boxes, really robotic, and instantly like the dream just goes black. Like it's almost like I lose vision and I'm just walking like aimlessly through the grocery store and everything is dark and I can't see. So I wake up eventually and I'm like, that was so interesting, and I just had a dream as somebody else. So as one would, I go and I text her. I don't care about looking creepy or crazy, and I'm so glad I text, because I text her and I say, hey, I just had this dream where I was in the grocery store and I was you, and I was pushing a cart and it went dark. And she responds, Heaven, that is so crazy because I was in Ralph's yesterday and there was a power outage. And she was with her friend Maisie. But super weird. I don't know, you guys, dreaming, I'm not the most spiritual anymore, but dreams have always been so, I don't know, odd. And I've also had like really revealing dreams that were true or came true nonstop.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
Read the reviews. Do you guys see him too? Who's the man in the window? My girlfriend moved out 3 weeks ago. My cat Ruck was really close to her, and now that she's gone, I can tell he's a bit lonely. Especially when I'm at work. I came home a few times to find my curtains ripped up or all the toilet paper in shreds. The last straw was when I came home after working late to find he had clawed a hole the size of a dinner plate into the side of the sofa. I decided I had to do something about it. I tried different toys, even catnip, but nothing worked. One night while browsing Amazon, I saw a pet camera. It's a tiny camera that records your pet on a live feed so you can monitor their behavior while you're away. It even has an audio function so you can talk to them. Sounded silly, but hey, I love my furry dude, so I bought it. I got overnight shipping and installed it immediately. I decided to set it up in my bedroom as that was where Rug dwelled most. My first day at work, I think I checked the camera 30 times. When I spoke into the microphone, Rug seemed to be happier and I noticed there was no destruction around the house. By day 4, I figured I'd solve the problem with Rug. That leads me to right now. About 30 minutes ago, I climbed in bed with Ruck, ready to close my eyes when my phone buzzed. A notification from the pet cam. I almost ignored it, sure I'd triggered the thing, but I opened it anyway. What I saw made my grip tighten on the phone. Instead of a video of myself in bed, I saw a man, tall, gangly with pale skin and large eyes. He was moving into my room with exaggerated steps like a sneaking cartoon character. He got right up to the lens, so close I could almost smell his rotten breath, and he smiled. I immediately paused the video, terrified. I looked at the spot where the man should have been standing, but there was no one there. I went onto Amazon and found the pet cam and read the reviews, hoping for some weird glitch. It had to be a joke, right? The first dozen reviews were pretty standard, but it was the last that caused me to bolt upright. The customer complained that the camera was on a time delay, sometimes as much as 15 minutes. I went back to the video and pressed play with shaky fingers. I watched in horror as the man slithered under my bed, giving the camera a wink before disappearing in the darkness. Then I saw myself enter the room and climb in bed before the video ended. Now I'm sitting in bed, knowing he's under it. I could call the police, but I doubt I'd have time. So please do yourself a favor and